Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi Greenberg. And Bruchim Habayim to all of you here in the sanctuary and those of you at home. I was watching the Hakafah a moment ago here at Darchei Noam. It looks like no Torah lover is left behind. In Nobel Prize winning author S.Y. Agnon's beautiful short novel, In the Heart of the Seas, we read, once while Rabbi Alter in 19th century Poland was studying the Talmudic tractate Ketubot about marriage contracts, it occurred to him that the land of Israel is a marriage contract between Israel and God. And it's an accepted principle that one must never be without her or his marriage contract. Whereupon Rabbi Alter ceased his studies, excused his students, sold his house and set of Talmud, and went to place his name on the list of those who were going up to the land. My first trip to Israel as a teenager in the 1970s instilled within me a love that, like the most magnetic of forces, continues to pull me back. As a kibbutz volunteer for an entire year as a rabbinical student and with fellow members of my Chattanooga Jewish community. Arriving in Israel, as some of you well know, was intensely emotional. That one experiences a fervently awaited return home hardly begins to describe it. Departing Israel, meanwhile, is a moment of profound sadness. However, I know that I will one day journey to the Jewish homeland again. My next travel date has yet to be determined, though it cannot come too soon. The great 20th century rabbi, scholar, and social justice activist Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote of Israel, just as ardent love between human beings can be real and powerful even if they don't dwell in the same space, the love of the Jewish people for the land of Israel is an ongoing, powerful being together even when living at a distance. A real link, a being at home spiritually, an embrace that never tires, a hope that never ceases. For Jews, such being at home spiritually has served to surpass the physical distance and sustained us for millennia. What would have happened to us and who would we be now if not for Israel? Wherever else in the world we have dwelled since our catastrophic moments of exile, it is toward Israel, and Jerusalem in particular, that we have continued to direct our prayers, blessings, songs, and stories. The longing for Israel has inspired our ongoing study of Torah and other sacred Hebrew texts, the observance and celebration of all the days adorning our Jewish calendar. And with the approach of Passover, our gatherings are bound up with the retelling and relearning of the Exodus story of our Haggadot. Israel again will be on our minds and in our hearts. Our spiritual being together will go beyond our Seder table gatherings. We will be united, be'achad, as one, as we are at that instant each year with all our fellow Jews throughout the world. And in our deepest recesses, with the precious land promised to us, to our ancestors, and to our descendants. In keeping then with that love, that longing, that being at home spiritually, and because I so greatly care for Israel's well-being, I'm alarmed. And you should be too. I am right now arguably more apprehensive regarding the condition of our Jewish homeland than ever before. Because right now, Israel's most profound threat flows not from her neighboring nations in the Middle East, nor does the peril flow from ongoing unrest on the part of the Palestinian people within her borders, or those Palestinians who dwell, many of them peacefully, in the West Bank. Neither, at least for the moment, does Israel face the abandonment of support from diaspora Jewry or the Western democracies who continue to be her allies. Rather, the foremost danger Israel presently faces is herself. Israeli against Israeli, Jew versus Jew. In medical terminology, Israel is bleeding internally, a malady that, as I observe it, is despairingly self-inflicted. And only by way of appropriate pressure brought on by the more pluralistic and progressive forces within and beyond the country will there unfold the healing that is so fervently needed. For how, after all, are we to respond upon learning that the recently elected leaders of the Israeli government endeavored to place constraints on that vital branch of government, the judiciary, that underscores the checks and balances and preservation of human rights upon which Western democracies, and Israel, though geographically situated in the Middle East, is very much a Western democracy, so enormously depend? How are we to respond to a government that aims to silence, or at least diminish, the voices of Jewish pluralism, that is, all persuasions other than orthodoxy? How are we to respond to a government that desires to place targets on the backs of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender Israelis? How are we to respond to a government that wishes to claw back the rights and privileges of women, including the dauntless women of the Wall and their celebration of Torah and Judaism on Rosh Chodesh? How are we to respond to a government that, as I speak these words, all but thumbs its nose at the opinions, hopes, dreams, and passions of diaspora Jewry? How are we to respond to a leader of this Israeli government who has publicly stated there are no Palestinian people? And how are we to respond to a leader of this Israeli government accused of breaking the law, who just a few days ago, and owing to his enablers, successfully orchestrated a vote that will shield him from removal as Prime Minister? Where then is Israel in your view of the world? How does Israel shape your understanding of your Judaism? What kind of land do you envision Israel to be? Are you a critic? Or are you an apologist? Expressing criticism regarding the country's government need not be equated with diminished love for the country and all her people. You must know that. In Genesis chapter 18, our ancestor Abraham utters to God According to the great Israeli author Amos Oz, what might be the boldest words in the entire Hebrew Bible. Shall not the judge of all earth do justly? And given that humanity is created in the image of the divine, shall not all our fellow members of humanity strive to do the same? We read in the Midrash, Abba the pious entered his city on Erev Shabbat, carrying his bundle, and encountered an ill man lying on the street. Please, said the ill man, carry me into the city. Abba replied, if I leave my bundle, how will I support my family? But if I abandon you, I forsake my life. Abba's good inclination, his Yetzer Tov, won out. He set down his bundle, carried the ill man home. He then retrieved his bundle and arrived home just as the sun was setting. His family exclaimed, Abba, carrying a bundle on Shabbat. Abba too was distraught, wondering, have I desecrated Shabbat? At that moment, God allowed the sun to shine longer, thereby delaying the start of Shabbat. We can't always count on the divine to prolong the light, nor may we count on the divine to enact the justice that humanity and that the more visionary forces in our Jewish homeland call for. We too must answer the call for light and for justice. So stay informed. Let your opinion be heard at this instant when her democracy and our hopes lie in balance. Israel and Jewish people everywhere demand nothing less. Ken Yehiratzon, may it be God's will.